And we are here Wednesday. As all you know, it's a little later in the day in New York, 3 o'clock, 7 p.m. UK time. I love doing what I do, and thankfully, we have a wonderful platform to enjoy this. Few things going on in the world right now. I don't want to bring up any political stuff because nobody likes to hear about it, but there's so much political stuff going on in America and in the UK at the same time. A lot of things have changed. You got a new prime minister in the UK, and we may have two new houses all cleaned out within a matter of moments. But who the hell cares, right? Most importantly, you put music on, you dance the night away, and you forget all your problems for the moment because you know what? No matter what you do, and no matter how much you try to prepare for everything, this stuff is still going to be there, and some things we just can't change. Today's we have a special show. And before I start the True House Stories, I want to say thanks everyone for last Friday for tuning into Twitch. The Twitch thing is quite nice. After I've been traveling so much, it was nice to have a nice audience to DJ again to on a Friday. So those that are not following me on Twitch, please go to Lenny Fontana Official and follow us, which is why I'm doing what I do on Wednesdays. We're going to have a bigger home sooner before you know it. But for now, we're comfortable where we're at and we're doing some wonderful things. So welcome to True House Stories. I am Lenny Fontana coming out of New York City. And today, after a long hiatus, I was able to get in touch with one of my oldest friends in the industry from the UK side, a favorite of London town, the two brothers that I know for, as long as I've been traveling across that ocean into the UK. You will know them as Zoo Crew, Groove Odyssey guys, 51st State. I know them as Bobby and Steve. Two of the nicest fellas I ever met, especially when I first began coming over. They welcomed me with open arms. It was, you have to realize when you're coming abroad for the first time in your life and you're meeting people you never worked with before, or they're not sure, they played your records but don't really know you. I was always welcomed a warm reception from these two fellas. And decades later, with trials and tribulations and all that stuff that we all go through, they're still here doing what they believe, playing soulful house music, making soulful house music, you know what I'm saying, and purveying the London flag all over UK and Europe, bringing it to Ibiza and Europe. So enough of me of what I've been saying about them. There's going to be enough for this man to say what he's going to say. I'd like to welcome from Bobby and Steve, Bobby Lavinier, half of the duo, the magic duo. He's here in the flesh. Bobby, thank you for agreeing to do this, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lenny. Thank you for inviting us onto your show and allowing us to tell our story and use your platform to tell our story.
It's truly important.
Cool. Truly cool. And I love the intro as well.
Thank you. It's the truth, though. When I first came over, you guys were well open. I'll never forget that. You said, yo, come work with us, come play it. I was like, wow, because you don't get that all the time. You know that. You don't get those welcomes like that from everyone.
Yeah, and then do you know what? I hope and I believe and I know it's not a show. It wasn't a show and it's still not a show. That's who we are. That's the core of Bobby and Steve. Do you know what I mean? We welcome people, and from day one, as you people here who don't know our story will hear, we welcome people. And as you opening a platform now for me, we've had a platform laid out since 1984 and bringing people on. Do you know what I mean? And sharing and that, because that's just who we are, man. That's just who we are. And we're grateful for that. We thank the Lord, we thank the universe for blessing us with that, because everything comes back around, you give love, the love comes back, man.
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling, that horseshoe effect. What goes out comes back in a wonderful way. And, I know you've been on BBC and you've been telling the story about Stevie, and we'll get into that in a moment, which has made you really come up to a different platform because of what we dealt with COVID, and both of you going through COVID and still dealing with COVID in different ways now, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
Now,
yeah. I mean, it definitely has. I'm a very positive guy. I mean, Steve are very positive people. But what this has done, 2020, March 2020, and from there onwards, has just shown me a beautiful thing. As though it's a negative story, it's really put just a lot of love, more love inside of me, and positivity. It really, really has. You know what I mean? And I'll talk about that
yeah,
throughout the show because
we
it's
need to
important.
hear more of that. Yeah, but everyone wants to know the story behind you guys. It's important because, everyone, each one of you have a piece to the big picture puzzle. And without each piece, you can't complete it, if you know what I mean. And
Yeah.
the pictures of both you and your brother are so eminent in the scene. And that's what we're going to talk about now. So everybody knows, here we go. I always ask that same question. How does it all begin when you guys are young kids, finding the music or the music finding you?
Um, the music found us. Where me and Steve are two of eight children, right? We've got six siblings each, and we come from a place called Forest Gate in East London. Our older sister now is 65, 66, and then and then the youngest is 47. But me and Steve are 59 years old, and on this month, on the 18th. So we're born in 63. So all of our family, or our siblings, are like 2, 3, 4 years apart. Very, very close family. And me and Steve being identical twins as well, the definition of identical twins, I'll say. We didn't really need anyone, even though as we got a bit older, we had this big squad. Do you know what I mean? But we would follow our sister Sonia. In our house, our dad used to play all the records on the June Greaves and all that, and the old Aretha Franklin and stuff like that. So we got into soul music, the classic old soul when we was really young, I suppose, just hearing it, subconsciously it's there, isn't it, in the background, rolling away. And as we got older, I would say in our maybe 11, 12-ish, as we go into secondary school, we started, involving different musics, the reggae scene. We even had, in them days, we had a reggae sound as like 13, 14. We got into the reggae, and then we was back into the soul. Our second older sister, Sonia, she was what you call a boogie girl, right? Paul Anderson, you know what I mean, following all that kind of thing, and Froggy, the late great Froggy, and stuff like that. And she would have like Greg Edwards on. He was a DJ playing all soul music on Capital Radio and stuff, and she would have all the other stations on. So as we were running around, because me and Steve were little footballers when we were young. When we was like 11 years old, we was playing for all these professional clubs as kids, right? So we was running around every day playing football, going to school, but playing football. So music, again, was always in the background. And then it must have been about, we left school in 1980. We were 16 years old. It must have been about 1978. So about 1977-ish, we was hearing more of the music and the disco and stuff and all that funk stuff, which my sister was playing in the house. And then we started, we heard about Crackers. Crackers nightclub was a Friday lunchtime. It was a lunchtime thing, right? The club would open on lunchtime in the West End, just off of Tottenham Court Road, off Oxford Street, down there. So we would bunk school, and loads of us would go down there for the fun of it to begin with, honestly. And then the music sort of came after that, going down there, because this bunking school was with the boys, But then it was Paul Anderson that was DJing there. This name came around. Paul Anderson was DJing there. This is when we was at school, 1978. So we would be in there with all the boys and all that firm. And then my sister, Sonia, as well, used to go down because she used to work. All the workers who were dancers who used to go to the club, they used to leave on their lunch break, would go to the club because they never sold alcohol there. Go to the club and then go back to work. We bunk school. go to the club, and not go back to school. But that was that. So that was our first nightclub experience into the boogie disco thing like that, you know. And I'm with Chantel Curtis. I think it's on Pine Records. Get Another Love. After going to Crackers, must have been maybe 1979. That's before we left school. We bought our first disco record, like Chantel Curtis, Get Another Love. We was down the market, walking down Petticoat Lane Market, which is the market in London, on a Sunday, and we heard the record. We thought, that's the record we heard on a couple of days ago, and that was our first thing about buying that record there. So it wasn't like someone said you have to go to the club. Puanis is playing there, George Power. We was following our squad basically. Yeah, we was going around with older boys then, and that was that. So, and then so we've left school in 1980. We're going out clubbing. I mean, we was going clubbing when we was 14 years old. Now, you know, I mean, 15 years old. No, when we was back in school there, 1978, when we was about 15, 16, we started going to other clubs. We was into soul music. Yes, a lot of two-step music was out there, what the DJs were playing. And then we was going to the clubs then, but not on a serious note. You know, you're growing up and you're finding your way. And then what happened was, there was where we're from in Forest Gate in East London, there's a local pub called Simpson's. We used to go down there all the time and drink, and we knew the manager. Anyway, the place got refurbished, and it was amazing. And we was at the bar before we went out. We used to go to a club called Bentley's on a Friday night, which a lot of people used to go to. The late great Derek Bolan used to play there, and so Simpsons became like the pre-drink for us, right? So we'd go down with the boys, and me and Steve and a good friend of ours, Michael James, were sitting at the bar, and we said to Jim, you need to get a DJ in here. We never DJed before. Do you know what I mean? Never DJed, never promoted. We just said, and he was serving someone who never started. And he turned around and goes, "Why don't you guys do it?" And just like that, the good Lord, he pointed at us, and we looked. Me and Steve looked at each other. Michael, we just said, "Yeah, let's do it." That was it.
Like the light shined on you. Oh, it's like
the spotlight was on us, and that was it. That was our introduction into that, because I was working. We left school at 16. I was working as a gas safe engineer for British Gas. Right, that was my first and only job I've really had besides the music. And Steve was in retail, so it was not as if it wasn't a business plan. We was earning money. We was earning good money. We were surviving, and plus we was doing our little hustling on the side.
So did you actually have to go to school to be trained to do the gas fitting?
Yeah, I left school at 16, and I had the job before that. I'd done a 3-year apprenticeship in gas service engineering. I'm still a qualified gas service engineer now.
That's what I figured. That's what. Okay.
Yeah. I've still got that qualification now to refresh, and but that's another that's another story. But I'm blessed to have that because it's helped me financially.
It's a great, and listen, it's a great job to have, because there's nothing better than having a plumber ready to at your disposal when necessary, because you got to know plumbing, right?
Yeah, definitely. You know, grateful, thankful for that, big time, for that job. So what happened was we said, yeah, we'll do it. Now we went out for the night. Saturday morning we woke up hanging, bit of a hangover, and we said, shit, because we was living at a mum's house then, right? And then we said, we've got to do this gig. What are we going to do? So we said, oh God, what are we going to call ourselves? Now, going back to 1978, it was, I believe, there's a film called Thank God It's Friday. When we was at school, we went to the pictures to see it, and that was the late, great Donna Summer. That was her debut acting performance in Thank God It's Friday, right? That film was based around a club called disco, called Zoo. And when we was at school, so this was 1970, we was like 15 or whatever, 14 going on 15. This is how things align in life, right? Because we said, after that movie, it's me, Steve, and our friend Wayne Mitchell, we went to watch it in the movies. After that, when my friends asked, we said, if ever we get a club, not DJ, if ever we own a club, we're going to call it Zoo. Now, this is two young guys, 14, 15 years old, nothing else in the mind about the future, getting a club, doing it's just one of them things. We're going to call it Zoo. So this was 1978, 79. So fast forward back, now go to 84. We thought, what we're going to call ourselves? And then Steve said, remember that film? We hadn't spoken about it for 6 years or whatever it was. Let's call ourselves Zoo. So we called ourselves Zoo Soulbeat. We got an A4 bit of paper like this. We wrote the flyer. We cut it, done it into 6 sections, right? And we just put Zoo Selby, Bobby, B-O-B-B-I, and Steve, and then our friend Michael James, and the place, and we cut them up. We've done that. We photocopied them, got to the shop, photocopied them, cut them up, gave them out in our area for his game, because we was well known and we knew a lot of people, right? Because of our family, well known, because we was going around with people who grew up. It was our ends, it was our neighbourhood, and so we had 7 days to promote. We hired a Citronic DJ system, 2 phonic Citronic turntables and a mixer. It was beautiful, all sparkling white covered leather, white Citronic boxes, because the place was lovely. So we thought, we've got to get a nice system, and that was it. Started playing our music, and that we played some soul. We was playing soul, and some go-go was in, and some cool hip hop, and that was that. The place was packed, 200, 250 people, without any plan. That was the beginning of our career.
With ease. Everything went to plan. There was no pitfall, no like, oh my God, this is like...
No plan. The plan was, where's the A4 bit of paper, and what are we going to call ourselves? But it was all stored, right, from back in the day. From Thank God It's Friday. It was stored there without us really knowing what was going. That's how you have to believe in what's meant to be, the universe, and you've got to believe in something, man. And that's where it came from. And 38 years later, we haven't stopped, right? And I can sit here proud to say that, because that was the beginning. And again, we was both working still. The place was packed. It took off really, really good. And then Kiss FM was pirate then. There was illegal radio then, right? So Gordon Mack, in them days, it was about sound system in your area. Who was big in the area? It was us in that area, another sound called Funkadelic, Trevor Nelson, Trevor Nelson, who was a soul DJ. He was from Hackney, so he was big there. And Jazzy B from North London. Every area had its little niche of who was doing it. It weren't a million DJs like it is now. So word got around, because we had people, not just from Forest Gate, where we come from, coming down. People started coming down from West London, North, South, East, you know what I mean? They started coming down. It was the spot before you went to Bentley's. We created this spot now. So Gordon came down and said, if you wanted to join Kiss FM. Hadn't done any radio. We said, yeah, 100%. So I think about 6 months after that, when we started, from that, went on to radio, which was a great start of something else, because really, really took to the radio big time. No training, nothing. It was just a natural thing that I just loved. So that was really cool. And, we had a great career with Kiss FM, moved along with our thing, and then we became meeting up with Norman J, all the Kiss FM guys that was on there. Norman J and stuff. The Rear Groove was in then, so we was part of that movement. And the warehouse situation came in, because you wouldn't really go and get West End clubs, but you'd just get warehouses. I mean, back in the day then, in the mid-80s, whatever loophole there was in the law, we would, like them days, you can go to an estate agent, right, to get a key for a house, to view a house. So we'd look for these houses that just got refurbished. We like places. It sounds like we always jump into places that got refurbished. It sounds like Simpsons. And then we'd find houses that was waiting to be sold or whatever. And then we get this girlfriend of ours that we knew. This girl was a friend of ours. She would go and ask for the key. They would give you the key, not go with you for a meeting then. So we'd cut the key. Our other friend Dapo would sort the electrics out, and we started doing house parties, illegal house parties. At mid-80s, just after 85, 86, 85-ish, 86. So we was doing house parties in our area, and then we found this warehouse in Forest Gate as well. It was a big clothes shop, got closed down. On the back of it, there was an alleyway, and we thought, oh, there's a warehouse there. Broke into that. Sorted the electrics out. We had that warehouse. Steve made me laugh. Steve said, this is ours now. We had that warehouse running, right, with our two parties for about 9 months. We had Norman J come down from Carnival. Everyone was coming out playing for us. Yeah. And that was our, so we really built up a lot of stuff in East London like that. And then we started doing clubs. 1988 was our first West End club. We called it Club Zoo. It was a beautiful club, and that again reminded us of the Thank God It's Friday film, because it was a really plush club. We've gone from these warehouse parties and it's in Piccadilly Circus, right in the centre of London, right? Swallow Street, just off Regent Street it was. So we got this club, and they let us do it on a Wednesday night. And it was just disco. Disco and boogie, you know, Leroy Burgess stuff and Sweet Thing, Conversion. That was the groove, you know, and all underground boogie stuff that we used to play. And it was us, Paul Anderson, Colin Dell, Fabio from Fabio and Groove Rider. He was into all that. He was one of our residents down there. Henderson's, a few of us, and that was our first introduction to the West End clubs, our own parties, basically. Yeah, and that was 1988. But going back a bit, because we got friendly with Norman J. Such a great guy. We owe so much to Norman for musical education. And just the point of him going to New York in 1987 and playing at the seminar that was out there, right, the conference. And he said, I'm going to go and play here. If anyone wants to come, they can come with me. Pay our own way, but we all stay together, right? Move as a tribe, but we all stay together. I remember we stayed at a YMCA. Femi was there as well, Femi B, from the Young Disciples. There was a few of us there. And part of that week's trip, was going to the Paradise Garage. Now, hand on heart, this was 1987, never heard of the Paradise Garage. Never heard of Larry Levan. If I did, it wasn't nothing we was on it, me and Steve, right? So we ended up going to this club, this club.
Well, let me show some pictures around that time when you were around. So here we are, 1987. They're in New York.
87, yeah.
Floating around.
Stevie. There's me, hands up in the air.
They're going to Vinyl Mania.
Yeah, man.
Spots.
Original pictures, man. Vinyl Mania Records.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
So you wind up going to the garage that summer. It would have been that summer, right before it closed.
Yeah, 3 months before it shut down. And we was just like blown away. Yeah, we went to other clubs in London, but it was like we hadn't experienced anything like this. Do you know what I mean? I mean, you know, the closer you get to that in London would have been Ministry, but that wasn't even born yet. You know what I mean? It's 1987. So we had this experience, and we just thought, wow. And the music, because we knew about disco and stuff, the music, and Rafi Rizal used to hold me, was playing all these, and it was like, oh my God. Anyway, at the end of that night, someone said, oh, everyone's going to the record shop. This must have been just in the morning, because people used to go around to Vinyl Mania. So we followed the crowd. The pictures told the story. We ended up going to Vinyl Mania. I don't think that was the after the garage
day, right?
I think, that was another time, even though we looked shattered there, but still. We went back and bought all these records, man. It was just such an experience. And I found these pictures that you're showing there. I only found them in the last year, I believe. I thought, where's these pictures? Right. We've got many, many more. So that was our introduction into the Paradise Garage, 1987.
See the record bags everywhere? Look at them.
Yeah.
That's DJs. See, that's what I'm talking about. They bought out the store to bring back home.
Yeah, man.
I'll take that.
Yeah, we was in it, man. But again, all that's supposed to happen. And that's why I say, you know, we're so grateful for Norman J, for him being the listener. The link will go from far back when but Norman was our link to bring us there, and this is what happened. So we came back to London. It's 1987. Kiss we started doing other clubs and everything else. Slowly playing a bit of house in some of our parties, but the crowd wasn't ready for it. They wanted obviously to play boogie, wants to play soul, wants to play a disco, which is fine because that's where our heart has always been and still is. So then Kiss FM came on legal in 1990, and I gave up the gas board, gave up my job, Steve gave up his job, and we knew we could make a full-time career out of this, right? Because we've got the promotional skills already at hand, and we built up a great following. So Kiss came on in 1990. We gave up the jobs. We started this new club. The same night our show came on a Friday night, we got hold of another club, bang in the centre of West End again, off Tottenham Court Road. It was downstairs. It's called Club Zoo, underground club, wicked, about 200, 250 max. So we've done that every single Friday. No house. just soul and boogie like what we was doing. And everyone, Dunmore, Simon Dunmore, everyone from the industry used to come down there, right? It was a big, big night. And then we started introducing house to our crowd down there. And honestly, at the beginning, they would just stop and look.
Yeah, because a boogie crowd doesn't want to hear house music.
Well, it wasn't, house was obviously building up in the UK. This is 1990, obviously people were playing house. But our crowd, who had been with us since we started 84, is like, what's going on? It wasn't, not everyone would stop, but it was one of them. And it's only, I'm going to tell you this, it's only pre-COVID. It must have been about 3.5 years ago. We was doing an interview, me and Steve said, we was telling this story, and Steve said, yeah, but Bob, don't you remember when you used to play the records at the house when we come back and people just look at you and think, what are you doing, Bob? Blah, blah. And then Steve said, but you continued, didn't you? You continued playing it, and look where it is now. And even saying that now, it makes me get a bit emotional about it because it's true. Without even thinking, I wasn't thinking, no, fuck you, like, I'm going to keep doing it. It was just something we kept on doing. Not slamming in their face, but slowly, and it just worked. So that was Club Zoo, which was a really great, that ran for a couple of years. So this is 1990. So 1991 now, Kiss FM, JM from Kiss FM and Gordon Mack, they wanted to start a clubs department, right? Because Kiss was big, controlling things in London. And everyone was doing parties, and Kiss didn't have no parties. So they wanted to do a night. They wanted to do a promotion, start up a promotions team. So they approached me and Steve said, Timmy, let's do a house night. I said, what? After the backlog we've been getting, he goes, let's just do our first house night. And Steve said, let's call it Garage City, just like that. Bang, bang, bang. Because Steve's the ideas, man. Bang, bang, bang. No stopping him. When he's on a roll, he's on a roll.
Thinking he's selling. He's constantly selling the idea.
All the time. For those who don't know,
before you get into this, I got to ask a few questions that are very important. You mentioned about Kiss FM and Gordon Mack and taking you from the club. Where did you guys get the idea for the styling of the show to create this Bobby and Steve show? Was it just something that you just said, we're going to just try this? Or was there DJs that you heard on the radio over the years that, like Frankie Crocker for me was a big inspiration in New York, for example?
So again, I think it's so I'm constantly just picking up things throughout the year. I've always been, every time I used to hear a good DJ on the radio, before we got into DJing, I would be like, okay, so maybe I'm picking up things in my head or whatever. And I've always been into good presentation, good radio presentation and good links, when you're talking over a record and the next thing, bang, the next record's come. I'm not talking about mixing, I'm talking about playing records now, right? Mm-hmm. Just talking and putting together a show. So I'm glad you asked that because it is important, right? And I shouldn't just wash over the Kiss FM.
No, because that's very important to legacy.
One of the main thing why I know that our show was so successful, besides the music and besides the atmosphere, was the energy and the love. We wasn't pretending to create this energy. We're not going to go, that was that, and that was that, and the record, next week. We're full of life. God has given us, the universe has given us life. Live your life, man. So we was always proud of what we've done and what we're doing. And even if we didn't know how to do something, we wouldn't just pretend. We would just be confident enough to say, this is what we're going to do. Same as the promotion back when we started, and we didn't know how to promote, but let's give it a go, right? There was no book. There's no book to really do. There's books now you can publish to how to do this, how to do that. Everything just came natural.
Right.
I would put in so much time, and Steve would join me as well, into producing the show ourselves, because it was important for me to know what I'm going to say for the first opening and the first couple of records, just to get them links. And I had a way of just writing, touch some little things down and put link. So when I'm trying to hit the next button, I had my own method, and it just worked. Do you know what I mean? And the energy. Okay, so even last weekend, I think our biggest fan base must have been the taxi drivers in London, right? Because even up to this day, last week, me and my wife stayed in a hotel last Saturday, and we got in a taxi from London to come home. And the guy goes, well, you've been out clubbing? I said, no, just having a rest. We don't go clubbing. You look like you're a clubber. Then I said, no, I'm just sort of, yes and no. He goes, then we started talking. He goes, I said, I do DJ a little bit. I don't like to say, yeah, Bobby Steve, forget all that. It's not important. So I said, yeah, I DJ a little bit. I said, yeah, where'd you DJ? Just do parties here and there. What's your name? Bobby. Oh, okay. You're not Bobby from Bobby and Steve. I said, yeah. Oh my God, listen, not talking about the clubs now. I used to listen to you on Kiss FM.
That's right.
Like I said, we have a whole new market of people who don't go clubbing.
Now, let me give you some kudos. Everyone around the world, pay attention closely. So guys like myself or Louis Vega or any of us were making the records, and we wanted to make sure, of course, Trouble had it, but the other parts were Bobby and Steve. So we would get acetates or that tape to them, and if they loved it, they would start championing it on the show. And if they started talking about it, it opened the ears and eyes of everyone else. So they were game changers. Not only just being radio personality DJs, but they also broke records when records were still in a very early underground stage. That's important.
Yeah.
Don't ever forget that, people. These guys, what they've done, strength to strength. If they believed in you, they championed it, and they yelled about it on the microphone. Hold on, let me tell you who it is. Boom, they come right back in, and
that was the thing as well. And that was the thing as well. And yeah, did we have all? And Paul Anderson, rest in peace, our brother. Us and Paul. I mean,
big time.
The record labels were waiting there with stacks of acetates and exclusives for us. And why not? Because business is business, right? And the thing about it is, with our show, we would give you all the information. We would tell you, we would give you this. When this coming? What's it? Yeah. So it was a very educational show on that side of it, And of course, the music. We've always, like I said, like yourself, Lenny, right? We come from a soulful disco vibe, and I always say this: disco will never, soul music will never, ever, ever go away. All these other genres, which I love, I don't hate anything. I don't hate anything in this world, music or anything. I ain't got time for hate. Music is about your soul. It's about getting in there. Music heals. It's so powerful. And with real music, our soulful music, chords, Philadelphia, South Soul, strings and horns and everything else. That's really where it's always been for me and Steve. We love the underground, yeah, a bit, strip it down a bit more, a bit raw. But our true heart is in the strings and the pretty things and everything else and the songs and the vote. That's Bobby and Steve. And I think with our energy that we portray on the radio and with the music as well, just thinking about it now we're talking about it, coming out of them speakers as people are going around, must have been so explosive. And we had Chrissy T in there, we had our little firm, and some people would come up there and it'd be like four of us, and they'd go, it sounds like you've got about 40,000 people in this room. Because we would just have fun, we would have jokes, and music was the important thing, but we would enjoy ourselves. And I can honestly say sometimes I was so tired. Like even producing the show beforehand at home, take me a few hours to get things together. As soon as I sat in that chair and that mic went up, everything just cleansed to me. I thought, look at this, man. It is so healing. And it's just a beautiful thing. So thanks for pulling me back on the Kiss FM.
Also, let me clarify something too, between you being both identical twins. Is one the artistic one and one more the business one?
Yeah.
Crew. So, because people don't really know that. They know you guys as DJs. But who's the true artistic one that really, because it sounds like it's more you from what you're explaining.
Yeah, well, you're spot on there. Going back to 1974 when we started, we had the white Citronic turntable, I'm behind the turntable, Steve behind the turntables, and our friend Michael James, who's looking after the fucking club, the bar. We was all behind there playing music, and I said, Steve, because we knew 3/4 of the people that were there the first night, it was our people from the Manor. I said, Steve, you need to go out and be a host. Where that came from, I don't know. And that was it.
Steve, go greet everybody.
Yeah, so Steve started that in the chat, and it's one of them things that's never stopped. And again, why I know that we've lasted so long, because we are approachable. It's not, we need to speak to them, otherwise they're not going to come back. No, it's just something that just happened naturally. And people like that interaction with people that they think are not approachable, right? Especially. So it wasn't like, it's just a natural, we're just giving people, man. That's just how it is. So moving on, I started DJing more, and Steve was being more of the host, and it fell into it like that. Again, this is how it's meant to be. I am the production guy, the hands on, you know what I mean, the studio guy, the this, the that, and Steve is the ideas, the promoter, and and that our partnership has just worked so beautifully because of that as well. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong,
Let me
man.
ask you something about being a brother to brother, identical. Do you guys, they say when you're identical, you actually answer for each other. You'll actually open your mouth, he can answer. Is it like that between you two?
Yeah, I can only speak for me and Steve, right? And from a young age, we would be in the same room, and our vibration is exactly the same. We know who we like and we don't like. Do you know what I mean? We don't even have to say anything. We know people's vibes. We pick up people's vibes straight away, and we do think the same thing. When we're in meetings, when we're this and that, it's not, we're going to say this, we're going to say that. It's just, we know each other, and I know when you're going to say that. The vibration, the connection is so strong. It's so strong. And it's only when you look back at stuff, you keep going, you keep going, you keep going, and then you look back at stuff and everything else, and having interviews, and like I said, COVID has shown me a lot, right? To look back, and not to look back in anger, to look back and think, wow, because so many people, because of what's happened with COVID, with Steve and stuff, people are just showing so much love. It's just so overwhelming, and the things they say, and because me and Steve are not, oh, we done that, we done this, we done that, we done that for you. We're not interested in all that. We don't give people gigs to say what you got for us now, what you got for us now. Throughout the years doing that, we've been givers. It's not
between COVID and everything else. Let's just say like this: it's nice that we're having flowers while we're here.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and I've said this in other episodes. It's nice getting flowers while we're all together and
no, definitely,
and back,
definitely, Lenny, and it's and for you as well. You had a lot of break from the house. You went musical change or whatever for a few years, but we were still in contact now. Again.
Oh yeah, we always talked.
Yeah, but what you're doing now, when I saw your thing flag up a couple of years ago, Trust, I thought, what a great idea. Doesn't have to be some big corporate company or some big platform doing these things. We all started house music together, right?
That's exactly it.
And stories need to be told, because we are getting, look, I'm 59 in 3 weeks' time, me and Steve. There's new generations, but we are still all relevant. Do you know what I mean? And education, there's people that bring young DJs in, bring them in, but they need to be educated on the knowledge. Do you know what I mean? It's like who done what, because it's important. It's truly important. Your Paul Andersons of the world cannot go without. He needs to have a voice. I've got, with me and Steve, I've got our voice. I've got the voice now until Steve comes back. But we need. I've never talked so much about Bobby and Steve in all the fucking 38 years.
You're going to, and this is part of writing.
You have talking about other people.
No, I know that, but if you don't express it and explain it, all these great things that were complementary to what you've done will never be.
Yeah,
there will never be the right light shined on it. And I've always said this: there's no one better to tell their story than them.
Yeah.
Because you have to, unless they're on your lapel and with you everywhere, nobody really knows. They only see bits, bobs, parts. They don't see, you guys are upset, struggling, aggravated, trying to resuscitate a situation, because they see us all happy. Everything's going good. That's why it was important for me to make this show. For all of you to make sure we document these pieces so that it will be there for infamy. As the question.
I applaud you, man.
You mentioned Bentleys. We had Bentleys in New York. Bentleys, there used to be a DJ named Sugar Daddy.
Was it more of a commercial club, was it?
Yeah. Bentleys in Manhattan. Yeah, R&B.
Never been there, but I heard about it, yeah.
Yeah, you got dressed up, you had to wear a jacket, the man had to wear a jacket, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. Was Bentley's like that in London too?
No. Bentley's was underground, man.
No, because Bentley's in New York. When I think of Bentley's in New York, I'm like, oh man, the guy had on, he had to have his jacket on to go to this club. And Sugar Daddy playing like all those, slow R&B records. Super cool. It was great. It's just not what I'm picturing Bentley's of London.
Yeah, no. But Bentley's was I think it was the back of a pub. But it was just the best. It was just the best for proper music, man. Do you know what I mean? It was just the best.
When you got the Centronic setup, first night that they said, okay, guys, you do it. Did you know what you were doing when you went and started playing music, or you just threw stuff on and said, okay,
yeah. It was just Citronic. It was the Citronic mixer, Citronic turntables. We was just playing the music. You Luther Vandross. There was some go-go beats going on there as well, some good stuff and some cool hip hop stuff and that. And it was just and you had like your boogie stuff. Sweet Thing, Conversion. We're big Leroy Burgess fans, right?
I know that because you bring him over all the time.
I was on the phone to him today. He's coming to play for us. Because let me tell you something now.
Say it.
Growing up with the music, I was one of these geek or whatever you want to call it. I would buy the records, buy the albums. I would buy the records and go home, play the records, and sit there and read every single word on them albums. The production, the producers, the publishers. I was just in it. While the record was playing, I was one of them guys. And then I got into Leroy Burgess, and there was something about his voice just resonated with me personally. I'm talking about my experience, not Steve's experience, but me personally. And I thought, my God. And I used to copy his voice. I used to sing like him. I don't know what it was. Anyway, so I'm just trying to go through the years now, right? So let's go back to 1988 because what happened was me, Steve, our good friend Stuart Ostry, our cousin Peter Remy and Lloyd Bertrand, we thought, let's start a record label. Again, don't know where that idea came from. We had no experience of that. This is 1988, right? 4 years after we started DJing. So in London, East London now, it's quite there's a road called Commercial Road. And we thought, let's get an offices. We got this money together. We've got a fleet of offices.
Wait. So you thought you had to get a fleet of offices and make you something like...
We didn't even have a record out yet. We did.
Yeah, we got a record out, but we got to have an office. We got to have that. We got 4 offices.
It's like we're living it large. So we got a fleet of offices. Like we got this long corridor, top floor. And there was 5 of us. It was 5 of us. We all had an office each.
Wait, with desks and all, right?
Yeah, we had an office proper thing. We had an opening day for our family and everything. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Ribbon cutting ceremony and all?
We had it. Honestly, we gave a spoon of champagne. I swear on my parents.
I know, and this is why I know it's true.
Look, I don't know why I'm laughing because it's fine. It's fine. So we sat down. So we had a meeting, as you do. So we had a meeting. We thought, what are we going to do now? What are we do? And we was all into Leroy Burgess. So we thought, let's get Leroy Burgess, sign Leroy Burgess. So we did. In 1988, we got him to do a 5-track EP. We got him to do a version of Barely Breaking Even because Leroy, James Calloway, and Sunday Davenport, I know all the names because I used to do all my history, right? All my reading. Him and his cousins, they wrote a lot of the songs. And as much as Leroy Burgess is a great frontman and singer, there's a lot of stuff that he didn't vocal. Right? I mean, Barely Breaking Even did, but we wanted another version of that. We got him to do that. We got him to do Big Time Rick James because he wrote Big Time Rick James.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we got him to do that. Over Like a Fat Rat, which he wrote with Fonda around that. We got him to do that, and there was 2 other tracks. So we signed him up for that. We brought him over. This is 1988. Again.
Paid for him to fly over. Get him in London, the whole thing. Put him up in the hotel. Take care of him, right?
I remember it now. Leroy Burgess, and I hope Leroy was watching this. I'll tell you where I'm going to be it. He was Leroy, because he couldn't go out as Leroy Burgess for contractual reasons, what he was doing back in with the Lean Brothers and stuff. So it was Leroy Burgess and Tyrone Williams. Tyrone Williams was the lead singer for Orange Juice Jones. He was Leroy's protege at the time, right? So I never heard of him before on that, but I knew of Orange Juice Jones. But Leroy said, right, I'm going to do these tracks with, all right, fine, paid him this money, went to the big studios in New York, done that, and we brought him over to do a tour, big concert at the Astoria Theatre. And I remember we picked Leroy up when we was in Leicester Square, in the centre of town. And Leroy was walking around with a sequin jacket as we got him. They were so excited. It was summertime. It was lovely, and I thought, look at this, man. So our first experience into the record industry, we signed our hero. Right? Any regrets on that? No, because what's come out of that was a beautiful thing. The record label, we lasted. That was Zoo Soulbeat Records. Zoo, that lasted, I don't know, a couple of years, 2-3 years on that. But it's what came out of it. We've still got the masters. I've still had the records there. They was 100 BPM. They were soul records. We made them into house jams. And, all this time later on, 30 odd years, still doing that. But what we've got out of it is a beautiful friendship, with Leroy. Which, sitting down, reading his records and copying his voice. I told him this story as well. And then all of a sudden, you're in this with him. It's like, anyway. So that was our thing into the record industry, right? What started us into that. And then Garage City, going back to the Kiss FM, wanted to do a club night. Gordon and Jay said, wanted to do club promotion. Steve said, let's call it Garage City, bang, do our first house night. And Garage City was born on the 20th of July, 1991, at a place called Joe's Nightclub. For those who know London, it's the side road of Duke Street, which is, you've got Selfridges, the big famous store. It's on the side road of that. And it was 250 capacity downstairs, really lovely place. Packed. The first night, it must have been 500 people outside. Only get 250 inside. And I know it was one of the first soulful house all-nighters ever to happen. And that's where Garage City was born, and it started from there. It was us, Ricky Morrison, Frankie Fawcett, Jeremy Hill, Chrissy T, Mickey D. On the first night, it was just amazing, and everyone was down there. And it went from there for 12 months to 250 capacity. We had to go bigger. We don't play, right? So we've gone from 250 to 2,000. Do you know what I mean? To the Podium nightclub in Vauxhall in South London. And that was when the lights were really shining on Garage City then, because obviously you had all the New Yorkers, yourself and everyone wanted to come over to play because there's your club.
See, that's everybody. He gave it to me. Look at that.
Yeah, I sent that over. Thanks to Ricky Morrison. He sent that to me.
Ricky.
That's the original flyer, man, from the 20th of July, Garage City All-Nighter. And that's when Garage City was born on the 20th of July, that Joe's. But to take it to that massive platform, Roger Sanchez, Danny Talaglia, everyone went there. Derek Carter came there to play for us. Everybody wanted, we had 10 City live on stage, DJing, all these old house acts, and it was just, honestly, every single Saturday night from 10 o'clock till 6 in the morning, packed. And the thing was, it wasn't just exciting for us, because we was all on this journey together. It was everyone who was coming there, it was all exciting. All the music was coming out. So we was all experiencing this for the first time together, and it was so exciting. It lasted there for a couple of years, 2-3 years, and then we had to downsize it because obviously more parties are coming out. The competition became, even though we didn't really look at competition, but we moved to Barumba down Shaftesbury Avenue, which was a great spot. And you played a few times. Yeah. 36 Shaftesbury Avenue. And everyone, we used to get all the New Yorkers, all the Chicago boys, everyone, Terry Hunter, the late great David Camacho, original house DJs, man, back in the day.
Cool.
Yeah, it honestly, it was just a spot. And the beautiful thing about it is we was just bringing everyone in. Everyone who we can bring in, we can put them on our platform, we would. And Garage City has been a true blessing and a major part of me and Steve's life. And that all stemmed back to going to the Paradise Garage. Do you know what I mean? Back then. So, yeah, Garage City, and we was, back in that.
Let me ask you something about, because you're one of the few that made it to the garage. did you get to experience the sound system at its glory, like that whole feeling in the room? Did you? Because coming from England, it's such a different experience
Yeah,
walking into. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah. I always say it's like, oh my God, this is so different. Did you get
yeah.
that same feeling?
It was like, I mean, it was like there were no big clubs like that. There was commercial clubs, big like that, I suppose. You know, we've got things like Hollywoods. I think they come out in the 90s actually, but nothing on an underground thing. And with the sound system, so you would go, you go, wow, 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 wow. Everything just ticked the box to a mega level. The sound, so you say experience the sound system. Yeah, of course we heard the sound system, but in them days, was we thinking, oh my god, what speakers they got? What? It
No, you're not
wasn't.
thinking that. You're not
Yeah.
thinking that. You're just taking in the experience. Like,
Exactly. Yeah, and knowing that we've never experienced anything like this before, and it just resonated. This is us. This is us, and we was right because that was us, and it is still us. And on the back of that, we got our own Paradise Garage in Garage City. You know, and
is that
that's
why you created that name, Garage City, off that?
It was because of going to the Paradise Garage.
Ah,
100%. That's why we everything was there. We kept speaking saying we need to get a house now. I said, no, because the crowd wasn't into it as much as we was. The majority of our crowd when we was doing our soul parties and playing little house records. But as time went on, yeah. But yeah, definitely, Garage City was definitely born on the back of our visit in 1987 to the Paradise Garage.
now for me, for example, playing clubs like Wild Pitch in New York was post Garage, which was my crowd was same as Camacho and the rest. We had a Puerto Rican and black crowd. So when I came to play in England, I'm playing the same music that I would play for my crowd, for
Mhm.
your crowd, which is totally almost more on the whiter side, loving the soulful house, which blew us all the way because here back home, New York and the States, that was more for that demographic,
Yeah,
opposed to what we were used to. It was amazing to see it. I wasn't the only one that said it. A lot of us were like, wow, in the
yeah.
beginning.
Yeah, and I think as well with Garage City, what we done, because when we started doing our soul nights, when we started DJing and that, predominantly our night was a black crowd, right? Predominantly, and then when we started doing the house night and that, like Garage City was such a mixture of people, and like you said, from the outside coming in, it's like okay, do you know what I mean? You could play disco infused music. You could play. It wasn't just the dirty underground. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
everything was an uplifting. You know, we had the best crowds, man. I'm not going to say that I don't care.
No, you definitely did. They were very well educated. I won't lie. They were very
Yeah,
well educated. They
yeah.
knew their
It
music.
was, yeah. So
That's
it was really good. I mean, and Garage City, you know, it just went from strength to strength. We've done our first Italian tour thanks to Maurizio Clemente in 1993. He came to the Vauxhall when we had the 2,000 capacity club, and like, wow, you know. And I've got to say again, big love and big respect to our man Paul Anderson, all right, because Garage City was he was a major part of Garage City. Do you know what I mean? He would always do the ending set because he'd be playing other places up north and whatever, and come down to play, and people would just wait for Paul at the end, man.
hey everybody.
That's
He would
intense.
do this. He would snap the fader like that and drop it down. You hear everybody go, trouble! Boom, back it in. Everybody's crowd would scream.
Yeah, man. Do you
It's
know what I mean?
awesome.
Hundred
Awesome.
percent. So yeah, we got to do. There's a lot of firsts that Garage City got to do. Like you know, we
What's the
went.
first? Go ahead.
He went. Yeah, he went to Italy. We done the Italian tour in 1993. We was the first soulful promoters to have a residency in Ibiza.
Yes.
At S Paradise. The first UK soulful promoters to go to the Miami Winter Music Conference.
That's right. We
To
did
do
too.
parties there. 17 years we were there for.
I
All
know.
right. Me and Steve doing our parties out there. 17 years, okay? And our boy Stuart was with us and everything else. And yeah, we had, I mean, great memories even from out there in Miami. I mean, the first party we done, was it Club Blue? It's Espanola Way, small club. And then after that, we went to the Shadow Lounge, which was a massive, massive deal for us. We had Ricky Morrison, Paul Anderson, Booker was there, Chrissy, all of us, and we was just showcasing a UK night. And because on the back of Garage City from the UK, you know, all the Americans would come and play for us. All the US royalty was in the house that night, right? Everyone. It was like, look at this. We're in their town. Everyone was just there. And it was just such a beautiful thing. And then we went from the nightclub. This is Steve's really quick at ideas and that. So we was one of the first social house promoters to do a regular at the Miami Winter Music Conference. And then other promoters started coming over, and everyone was doing night parties. So Steve said, let's flip it. Let's do a daytime party. Forget this. We moved to Clevelander, right? And history was just born again, man. It's like the Clevelander. We started a brand called Soul on the Beach.
Yep.
And man, that was just, you know, Terry Hunter was our resident there as well. We had all the DJs, all the PAs you could think of in one day. You know, like 2,500, 3,000 people passing through this daytime party. Bang on, for those who ain't been, it's bang on South East Ocean Drive, the Cleveland Hotel. So Garage City, you know, that it started off at Garage City, then we went on to Soul on the Beach on that. But it's all from Garage City stuff, you know. So yeah, Garage City on the house side of it was just been amazing on that side. And along the way, we've still been doing our disco. You know, we've never left our disco. And you know, people say a few years ago, disco's back. You know what? For those who know, disco never went anywhere. Do you know what I mean?
I said the same thing.
Disco's
It's
not
never
back.
been
Disco's
left.
never gone anywhere. Disco's back on a bigger scale, but it's not. You know, I'm talking about real disco now. Do you know what I mean? I'm not talking about, and I'm not hating or nothing. I'm talking about just real disco.
You talking
Yeah.
about ABBA? You know, he's talking about the real stuff that we all danced to and played, the real more underground stuff.
Yeah. So the Garage City thing, and then we moved from Garage City to Garage City took a break. It shut in. The last thing was in 2002, and about in 2007 we hooked up with Michael Hughes, who does 51st State. We started 51st State. We started doing parties with him to like 2009, really, when Groove Odyssey was born. And then, yeah, Groove Odyssey's just gone from strength to strength. So our new brand, me, Steve, and Michael uses, that's the Groove Odyssey, celebrates 13 years on the 26th of November. We're having a big party at the Ministry of Sound with Louis V.
I hope we didn't lose you. Uh-oh. So just in case, before he was talking about his November anniversary party, I think.
Sorry, can you hear me on my back? The computer just shut off.
He was saying about the anniversary for Groove Odyssey at Ministry. What's the date? November what?
It's the Saturday, the 26th of November.
Oh, right after Thanksgiving, everybody. So who's ever in town, get yourselves down.
Yeah, and I spoke to Leroy today, and he was like, "Bobby, you know, he's leaving on the 24th to get on the 25th. You know, it's Thanksgiving Day." I said, "No, don't know." But
I know. You're not thinking about Thanksgiving.
It's like whatever. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, so listen, with the Garage City, so Groove Odyssey. But I want to go back to, I want to just go to what people don't know is 2016, the beginning of 2016. I sort of was going to retire from DJing, right? I just thought, you know what?
Yeah, there was some whisper about this. I was like,
yeah, I just thought I'm just, nothing happened. It was just, I get these vibes sometimes, you know what I mean? The big man talks to me and I feel it. And I just thought, you know what? Time for a change. Just not time for change. It's not having enough. Something wasn't feeling right with me. So I spoke with Steve and I spoke to my.
Now when the story's getting really great, we're losing the connection. Stay with us, please. Do not leave. Something's going on with Mr. Bobby's computer. Hopefully he can come back. He was just saying the good Lord was talking about around 2016 about him hanging up his golden ear cup. And there was whispers about it, but I didn't believe it. I says, what are these guys going to do? They're going to leave this now?
I don't know what's going on there, Lenny. The computer just...
You're now back. But I was just filling in the whole thing about God came down and you would think about putting the golden cup on the wall and hanging it all up. So...
Yeah. I'm not sure what's happening with this computer. Yeah.
As the story's getting really steamy now, it's like.
And then what happened? Yeah, and then I thought I'm going to give this up, and then about 4 weeks after that, I got a call from my good friend Terry Hunter, Chicago, and he said, "Guys, I want you lot to come over and play at Chosen Few, which is the festival they do for those who don't know. It's been going on for 30 odd years or whatever, right? 30 years." And I thought, wow, look at that. Just when I was going to say no.
Hang on, watch. And Teddy's singing the right song. You can't hide from yourself, brother. You can't hide. The crowd is going crazy. 30,000 revelers. You're like, go ahead. Now what happened?
Yeah. So what happened was Terry invited us to play at Chosen Few. Now I've got to say this: me and Steve have done a few American tours throughout our time. We've been LA, we've been a lot of towns, a lot of cities. One place we never went to was Chicago. And when that call came, I thought, look at that. Do not tell me the good Lord is not, or the universe, whatever you want to look at, you get your energy from, your power, is not saying, guys, before you stop this, Chicago, I know you're not from Chicago, but how
it's all right. It's Chicago's house music. It's no question, please. Right?
Chicago's where it all began. We're part of this whole house thing, Bob. And I just thought, and it's never really dawned on me, and people say, we've never been to Chicago. Never really thought about it. And I thought, look at that. Not only am I being told you're not stopping, I'm bringing you to where it started, and you're going to play in front of 30, 40,000 people, right? Yes. And Terry said, you're going to be the first international guest, which I never thought about before. I've seen Morales, all these people, Louis, everyone played there, Joker, so everyone. But you guys are American, so they've never had an international guest. So we was blessed. So I want to thank them guys. Wayne Williams, Terry Hunter, Mike Dunn, Alan King, all of them for that, because not only was it like, wow, look at this, it's gone full circle. We've gone to play where it all began in front of this big platform. And then at the end of our set, Joe Classell was playing there as well with us. At the end of the set, they invited us on stage and gave us a Lifetime Achievement Award.
They what?
No, you couldn't lie it. Exactly. And they knew everything about us, telling our story to the crowd. And I thought, look at this. 3 months ago, I thought, no, I'm not doing this no more.
These fellas, where they come from the streets to the High Line, baby.
Yeah, and then we got a Lifetime Achievement Award. And do you know what it was? It was like, okay, you see how things are just meant to be. And yeah, so truly, truly grateful for that. There's so many stories, obviously, we've got along this 38-year career, but Ibiza, we've been so blessed to be in Ibiza and do what we're doing. And we started a new thing called, Groove Odyssey Go Ibiza, which is back. We started in 2017, 2018, 2019. COVID came, we stopped, but we're going back again next year, 18th to 21st of May. I've got a new home at the Palm Star Hotel. That's going to be an amazing thing. Dave Lee's always been with us out there. He's coming again. Spen, Terry Hunter, Joe Classell, Vic Lavender's making a debut appearance. CJ McIntosh, of course, us, Neil Pearce, Booker T, over 30 DJs and artists. We just announced it last week, Friday, and hopefully you're going to be joining us as well on that journey.
I loved it. I love it. Feels great to be back home with all these great
guys. So many great things that happened in the day, and we're bringing it all back again for Ibiza and stuff. Yeah.
Let's go to 2017, 2018. You're rocking. 2019, and then the world stops. 2020 comes.
Yeah.
So you could tell us what exactly went down. End of December 2019. I know you were in Spain, if I remember correctly, right?
Yeah, it was March. So what happened was Steve again came out with this idea. Bob, clock's ticking. We've never done an artist album because I want people to know Bobby and Steve, radio presenters, DJs, promoters, radio presenters, the production and record label owner, and just music business people. But the production side of it, we'd never wear a production hat. We'd never say we're record producers. It's just something that I never would say that we are, right? We love doing it, and I've learned a few skills along the way, but never put in the time to be that man, because to wear that hat at a big level, it wasn't. Well, I'm not interested. Yeah, once a year, maybe not even that. We'd go in and we'd make a record, even though we had a studio on Shaftesbury Avenue. We was there for like 12 years. Me, Steve, and Michael Baldwin. We had big office and studios, our event office, and then we said, "Oh, let's make this into a studio." We had a 32 desk Mackie and everything else. We had an MPC 3000 drum machine. Still got all that stuff. The drum machine, not the mixable. But we never really pushed ourselves to be producers. Do you know what I mean? Stayed in our lane, in the outside lane, because it wasn't. We're financially we're earning a lot of money doing other things, and my heart's never been into it. But Steve said, "Let's make an album." I thought, okay, let's do an album, because you know what's going to happen around the corner, and we didn't know what was going to happen, did we? So we made an album. It got released in February 2020, and then we had like a 12-date tour thing lined up. The first one was in Madrid. A good friend Nacho, and we flew out there on the Saturday, the 7th of March, flew back on the Sunday, the 8th of March on the Monday. Now this is pre-COVID, right? This is pre-lockdown in UK. So we got back on the 8th. So on the 9th of March, me, Steve, and someone else were having a conference call. Steve's in his house, I'm in my house, and we're chatting, and then I start losing my breath, just talking like that. And
oh, I hope we didn't lose him. We need to get this story out of what happens in COVID era. We'll stand by. Let's quickly recap. They say they're not producers. They produced a lot of records, a few albums, did some remixes along the way, produced some great club nights, did amazing events worldwide. I think they have a lot to their name, and as well, earned a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Chosen Few. That says a hell of a lot of the journey of 30 plus years of pushing this dance music card. Not many can even say they've lasted that long, no less to have all these wonderful achievements. So hopefully Bobby comes back. Come on, Bobby, come back. Let's see. Yeah, he knows here he is. He's coming back. Hang on.
what? Lenny,
He's back. Okay.
can you hear me?
Hear you fine.
Right, I'm actually on my phone now. The computer's dead. I don't know.
Oh my God!
I've actually had to put it on my phone.
Okay.
Do you know what? Let me just get a stand. Stay there 1 second. I'm going to come straight back. All right.
Because we need this is a guy that see what happens when you're in production.
Stay
You
there.
find every way to make it work. Forget it. The sound system broke down. Bring another sound piece in. Don't worry. The electric went out. Go get a generator. Turn it on. Keep these people going. Do not let this stop. People want to know. We're almost there. He's going to tell us a story about COVID part, which people want to know about. They don't know where.
Right, I'm here.
No, I know. Dance for Stevie, baby. Dance for Stevie. Okay. You good?
Shut this computer. I don't know what's going on with that. Right. So apologies, everyone. Right. Apologies.
Everybody's waiting. They understood. We recapped a little bit while you were gone. So you were talking about your album, going on tour, Spain. Yeah. Nacho brought you over. First gig, you go back. And the gig starts to become somewhat erratic. Take it from there.
Yeah. So I start losing my breath on the call. just talking, losing my breath. And then Steve, 10 minutes later, Steve, in an hour, we both lost it about 3-4 times. And we put the phone down, we called each other and said, I think we've caught something. But we wasn't alarmed because there was no warnings here. The UK wasn't locked down, and we knew things were going across the pond as everyone else did in Wuhan. But that was that. 7 days later, we had a gig in Manchester. And we went up to Manchester. I started getting worse. Lucky enough, the gig was in the hotel. We shout out to Raja Quilla and Dave Law. The gig was in the bottom of the hotel, right in the basement, and we stayed in this lovely hotel. And I just thought, I'm staying in my bed. I didn't feel good at all. Went down, said to them, come and get me half an hour beforehand. They came and got me. I went downstairs, played, had a few brandies. My adrenaline kicked in. Played an amazing set. That was that. The next day I woke up, I was just in bits. I thought, something doesn't feel right. It was just symptoms I've never had before. I mean, what was I, 56 then? And in all that time, I've had massive flu before, severe flu, severe chest infections. Never had any. These symptoms were just crazy, just like knocking me out. Got back home on the Sunday because there was 3 of us. I went out there. Got back home on the Sunday. I went straight to my bed. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday must have been. So the last 3 days, I don't remember anything being in my bedroom or nothing. My wife said my temperature was 39, 40 degrees, but because the UK was saying don't come to the hospital unless you've got really, really, really bad symptoms, and that was that. My wife was sleeping upstairs in the loft because obviously my temperature was high. She went upstairs to sleep in the top floor, and I only found this out afterwards when she showed me a text and I looked at my phone. I texted her at 5 o'clock in the morning on the 20th, Thursday night, Friday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning to say, I can't breathe, you need to take me to the hospital. She said when she came down, she was so worried because I was just panting for breath. And I can't even remember all that. I remember getting in the car, she drove me, our local hospital was 10 minutes away. And I remember seeing the sign saying hospital. Getting out of the car and struggling to walk there. And I remember seeing that, and that's it. 5 hours later, which I was told it was, I was on a bed, and these doctors. My wife had told me when she brought me into the hospital, they took my oxygenation straight away, and it was so low, they rushed me through, and she couldn't come through because of the restrictions. And I remember opening my eyes and pretty scared, not of having COVID, what was in front of me. They pulled the screen back, and there was like 4 to 5 doctors, or whoever there was. Now, this is the first time I'm seeing PPE, right? They've got their masks on, the shields, they've got all purple gloves and all. And I've opened my eyes, and I remember I'm a bit basswoody all over the place. And I'm thinking, what the fuck? It was like people came down from a spaceship to come and get me, right? I opened my eyes, I thought, I was scared of them. I wasn't scared of what was going on because I had no fear. Because when I went into hospital, I was one of the first, right? Me and Steve, to be admitted from COVID here in London. So it wasn't like with the news you've seen stuff, and I had nothing to reference to. So I had no fear. So I remember the doctor saying to me, "We're going to have to put you into an induced coma." And my head was a bit all over the place. I said, what's that again? Because we've got to put you to sleep. And as I said, just do what you got to do. 7 days later, I woke up. They put me into an induced coma and put me on a ventilator. 7 days later, I woke up, and our local hospital is called Whipscross Hospital, which is 10 minutes from here. I woke up 7 days later, and I was in Bart's Hospital in St. Paul's, like in the city. They had moved me. My wife said to me, she called her 24 hours after I was admitted to say they're going to move me. My wife said, why are you going to move him? He's in a coma. Because more people were coming in with COVID. And they said, even though I was in a coma, I was the most stable to move. So again, God is good, because I went to one of the best hospitals in London, in my, some of the best consultants. So I was in a coma for 7 days. When they took me out of the induced coma, and off the ventilator, what I do want to share, which I think is important, which I started talking about when I get interviews now, because I think it's really important for me to say this and talk about it, because it has made me the person that you're looking at now, even stronger in beliefs and everything. Whilst I was in my coma for 7 days, I don't know if it was day 1 or day 7, um, I went to the spiritual world. I was in this white room, right? I was sitting on a chair, just like I am now, back against the wall. I don't even know if there was a wall behind me. I didn't look. I'm sitting on this chair with my arms on my knees, and this room, a normal sized room, brilliant white, no windows, just white. This white square room, and on the floor were squares, like a disco floor, but nothing was flashing. And I'm sitting on this chair, and I'm looking. Now again, remember, I'm in a coma, but I'm aware that I'm in a coma, and I'm aware what's going on here. I knew, not like I was in the dream, and I was aware of everything that was going on, even though I was in the coma. So I'm sitting there, and then this woman's voice in this right here says, Robert, my real name is Robert, right? Robert, it's 12 o'clock now. By 1 o'clock, you have to get into that middle square, otherwise it's not going to be good. And then a man's voice said it in this ear. And they kept repeating it 5 times, whatever, 10 times. There was no dialogue between it. I didn't look at them. I didn't need to look at them. It was a woman's voice and a man's voice. And then she said, right, it's 12 o'clock now. We're going. If you're not in that middle square at 1 o'clock, it's not going to be good. And then that moment just went. And I was scared, not of what they was saying. It's a bit, I can't even explain it for you, but it wasn't what they were saying. There was no fear of death or nothing like that. Or I was scared of, oh my God, what's going to happen? Because I'm a bit of a control freak. I like to know what's going on. And this is no word of a lie. I was thinking, oh my God, what's going to happen? So I started getting, this all happened really quick. I'm getting really worried. Now, this is 2020. We lost our dad in 2019. Again, I'm aware dad's gone. So I'm sitting here in this chair and I've gone, Dad, you've got to help me. I don't want to be this. I don't know why I came to the hospital. I was swearing. I don't know what I came to the hospital for. This is all bollocks. Da, 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 da. I said, you know, I love my wife. I've been with my wife for 40 years, right? You know, I love my wife. I love my kids and everything else. I don't want to do this no more. And then I said, Dad, take me with you. That's how aware I am. That Dad just, you know, I'm aware of everything. Dad, take me with you. Now, my dad was with me. I didn't see him. I didn't need to see him. But in this spiritual realm, he was with me, man, and it was so beautiful, right? On reflection, looking at it, it was just like, and he was just there with me. There was no speaking, but he was there. He was with me. So this moment has gone now, right? Now, I'm back in my ICU room now, right? Now I'm back in the real world. Now, I don't know if this is straight after this section with my dad. I don't know. There's no evaluation of time. So now I'm in the ICU room. They're taking me off the ventilator. They're taking me off the sedation. I'm coming through. They say, you know, open your eyes, Rob, open your eyes. So my mind's a little bit like it's just all these bright lights flashing, kaleidoscope situation going on. And they're telling me to follow the finger. I can see in the distance some stuff, telling me to squeeze it, just have enough energy to squeeze the finger. I told them afterwards, how long did that procedure take? They said it was 2 days for me to come through. So the second day, when I'm through now, like I'm aware, not fully, but I'm out, my eyes are open wide and I'm aware of what's going on. They said, right, we're going to take you out of the chair now and we're going to put you in the bed. So 2 of them, 2 doctors, 2 assistants, they lifted me out of the bed and they put me in the chair. Lenny, as soon as my bum hit that chair, right, as soon as that bum hit my chair, I had this feeling that was so powerful, right, of love. This feeling just came over me and I'm like this and I'm going, oh my God, my arm, I've crossed my arms like this and I'm going, oh my God, oh my God. I'm smiling, I'm crying. They look at me going, are you okay? Are you okay? Because obviously what's happening. And I'm looking up, all I'm talking about is love. Love, 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 love. I had this feeling, electricity, voltage, whatever it was, this feeling of love that was so beautiful and so powerful, right? And I said, I've got to speak to my wife, call my wife, call my wife. They called my wife, Silma. I said, babe, something just happened to me. I said, I don't know how to explain it, but all I say is love. We've got love, love. That's all that was coming out of my mouth. Anyway, so that was that. So 2 days after that, I got moved into my ward. I'm out ICU now, right? Because I'm building up my energy. They put me into a normal ward. Now I'm allowed my phone. Steve's called me. Wish it was. My wife Silva called me and said, "Oh, we're chatting." She goes, "Oh, Julie's just brought Steve to hospital because while I'm in hospital, Steve's getting well. He's getting bad. We both caught this at the same time. Steve's going up and down while I'm in hospital." So she said, "Oh, Steve's been taken in. Julie's taking Steve in." And I said, just like this, I said, "It's fine. It's all right." I said, "He'll be out in 2 weeks." Because I know I'm ready to go home soon. And the only reference I had, I mean, I was in a coma from the 20th, and the lockdown happened in the UK on the 23rd. I was in a coma when this country went into lockdown. So I'm not even aware of what's going on that side.
You're early. You're pre to everything shutting down. You're early. You're like right before everything hit the fan.
Yeah, 3 days before I went on the 20th, and the 23rd is when lockdown happened. And so I'm my only reference, right? So I said, "All right, Steve will be out in 2 weeks' time." That's that. I eventually got myself discharged because I thought I've never been hospitalised before. I was in a great hospital, great, everything was great. All the boxes were ticked. The food, everything was ticked in the right direction, right? But I just needed to get I needed to get out of there. So they said I couldn't because I couldn't walk. I said, what do I need to do to make you feel good? You need to walk there to there to there, but you ain't going to do that now because this and that. When the night time, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, I'd get up and I'd be walking with my stick when everyone's sleeping, right? And then they said I was dehydrated. How much water do I need to drink to be dehydrated? Well, if you do this and do that. The next day I said to them, I can walk. They said, "No, you can't." I said, "Watch." And I started walking. I said, "Can I go home?" They had to. I said, "If you don't go home, I'll discharge myself," because I just needed to get home, right? I needed to be around love. It was just bad love. That's all that was around me. They discharged me. So now, it's been a few days.
How many weeks from when you stepped in that hospital till you got home? Were you
14 days, 2 weeks.
2 weeks? So full 14.
Yeah, 7 days in a coma and 7 days, 7 days in a coma, 2 days in ICU, and then 4 days or well, 4 or 5 days.
The positive. Yours is more the positive one. A lot more people were under that iron lung for a lot longer. You're very positive.
Yeah, definitely. So then I got discharged, and then what's happening with Steve? His wife Julie's calling the hospital all the time because obviously you can't visit. No, we're going to take him out of the induced coma this time. They tried to take him out a few times, and they said he was getting disturbed. The tube that goes down, when it was reducing the medication, he was biting the tube. So 21 days later is when they finally took him out of the induced coma, right? 3 weeks. So when they took Steve out of the induced coma, he opened his eyes, and then they said they'd done the tracking thing, follow my finger. He wasn't following the finger. They said, squeeze my finger. He wasn't doing that. He wasn't doing any commands, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they said it's okay. Maybe he's still got some, I can't remember what the word is, what they give you to put you in induced coma. Some medication inside of him. So let that wear off a little bit. Next day, they said, the alarm bell started ringing. So they said, we need to do a CT scan. Nothing, I don't think we're not looking for nothing, but we'll just give him a CT scan and MRI scan. Well, the CT scan and MRI scan showed that the virus, this is what they've said, the virus has gone into Steve's nervous system and made his way up into Steve's brain and inflamed Steve's brain, the cells in Steve's brain that we all need, right, to communicate and do everything. And Steve's got diagnosed with one of the worst brain injuries you can sustain. It's called acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. Encephalitis, for those who don't know, is a brain injury. Me and you can have encephalitis now, Lenny, and we can still communicate, but we get some brain fog, some brain memory loss and everything, and we could have some epilepsy fits along the way, right? But that's encephalitis. That's the level there. Steve's right at the other end. And it's so rare. His diagnosis is so rare. His brain cells has been so inflamed, right? The consultants were in shock even to tell us. I remember the consultant saying before he told me and Julie showing us the scans and stuff, he had to have meditation. He meditated before he came to see us because he just didn't know They was just so in shock. Even now, no one doesn't know how Steve got this, and it's such a rare thing and such a severe thing, right? Acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. If you Google that, the first paragraph, it says quickly results in death. Basically, you don't leave the hospital. In a few days, you're that's it. Well, guess what? 2.5 years later, Stevie is still with us, and he will still be with us. This has left Steve in a prolonged disorder of consciousness, which means Steve he has a wake up and sleep pattern. He opens his eyes. He can't communicate. He cannot talk. He cannot move his body. Yeah, he can't do anything. He's been fed with a peg, which is a tube in the stomach. But there's been, as devastating as it sounds, and as many times I've told this story, it's okay, because against all the odds, Stevie is fighting away inside, right? What the doctors won't say is that Steve can hear you, because then they're committing to something, right? But we know that your hearing is your first and last senses. Steve can't communicate. Doesn't mean Steve can't hear. Doesn't mean Steve is not inside doing stuff. Because one of the sad things, what I'll say is along the way with this, is what we've learned. And when you're in situations like this, or other situations with loved ones, when they have some severe conditions like this, it's the medication they give you. Okay, the medication that they've given to Steve. But Steve's wife Julie, a family in pharmaceutical, and she's very on it in terms of meds, right? They give you these two meds, gabapentin and baclofen. Now, because of Steve's brain injury, he's very prone to getting spasticity, right? Which is where your muscles get tense and your hands could be left in a shape or everything else, right? Because they're not moving. So, for them to manage that, they give you these drugs, which relaxes your body and everything else. But in the same time as doing that, so Steve was at his normal hospital, just a general hospital, when this happened. He was there for 3 months. So as you see me now, is how you would see Steve in the first 3 months. Just that he can't talk, right? Visually and alertness and everything else, the same like this. Remember when me and Julie walked into the hospital to see him? I was like, obviously the night, so much anxiety, because I'm thinking, what the fuck's happening to Steve? What's he going to look like? When we walked into the intensive care unit and Steve was in his bed, he was sitting up in his bed. They got him sitting up there, just like this. His eyes open wide. So it was such a blessing to see that, because he just took away all my anxiety. Yeah, we're not happy that Steve's in this condition. I wasn't, but you know what? I looked at him and I thought, you're going to be all right, right? We went up to Stephen, but in that time from there to 3 months after that, 4 months after that, he had to go to get assessed in the neurological hospital. And that's when they start giving you the medications. You go there to see where you're going to go, what care home, and what needs you need, they need to assist you, right? You have to get assessed. Again, it's COVID. So there's no visiting, really. So we've seen Steve on video every day. So we've seen Steve go from this to being, we call it being tranquilized, man. Steve was like this, hanging out, dribbling, no communication. It's like, what the fuck? So we started, but anyway, that's what the sad thing about it.
Let me ask a question, because probably people thinking the same thing at home. From when he is in the normal hospital to move into the other spot and they start medicating, do you think the medications is what did him in after the getting him out of the induced coma like you?
No, the medication had nothing to do with it. No. The induced, you're talking about the meds I'm talking about had anything to do with Steve's condition now. No, this is post-diagnosis.
Okay.
This is after. So initially, when it happened, when they took him out of the coma, he's had the brain injury, right? He's had the brain injury, and then from there he had to go to a neurological assessment place. Hospitals here. All they do is assess you for 3 months. He was there for 4, and then they see what hospital you need to go to, what care home, neurological care home, and what needs, because every need is different. And Steve's is so rare, obviously they don't know what to do, but they're giving him all these meds, right? So we've seen him just come down and down and down. November 2020, he got moved to this great neurological place in Surrey, in here in England, and we brought up the medication and that. So what's happening is basically in the last 6 months, Steve's medication has been reduced, and we've just seen the change. I'm not saying take the meds away and obviously Steve's going to start talking. It's not about that. But if we believe, not if we believe that something great is going to come out of this, right? Of Steve. This isn't Steve, for the rest of his journey. This isn't something great. Trust me, is going to happen to Steve. Steve's going to come back, right? Steve's going to come back. On what level, I don't know, but you got to understand this. He's been written off in terms of communicating because of the diagnosis. So Steve will start to communicate, and then we'll see where it goes from there, right? But for us, if we believe that, but he's been sustained with all these meds pushing him down. We're waiting for the brain to improve. These meds are making him go that way. Do you know what I mean? So he's fighting against the injury and fighting against the meds. So now he's in a great place. But I need to go back a bit as well. So this happened in March 2020. So 2021, Steve got moved to this new place to where he is now in November. It's coming up to 2 years, right on the 16th of this month. But in June 2021, Steve was allowed. He's allowed where he is. They've got transport there, and it's a really lovely place. They've got their own transport, so Steve's allowed a home visit every 2 months, so he can go home for 3-4 hours, right, surrounded by his family and all that. So we've taken Steve home. Our mum was there. She passed last year, but she was at the first visit at Steve's house, Steve and Julie's house, and so Steve's just Steve's in a wheelchair, right? Steve doesn't move. Sometimes he might move a little bit, but he doesn't move. He doesn't move. Can't move his head. Can't move this. Can't move that. Can't move. Steve's sitting on a chair like this. My mum's there. There's about 8-10 of us there on the other side of the lounge. My mum's there because we're Catholics, good Catholic people. Steve's sitting there. My mum's there praying, doing the rosary with Steve. She's face on this way, side of his face. We're all in the other side of the lounge, and my mum goes, "Oh my god, oh my god!" So we've like in a panic sort of thing. We've turned around. So what's the matter? Steve had moved his head like this and turned like that.
Really?
To look at my mum.
Wow.
Right? Now, don't tell me that's just something going on. That's what happened. Right? And the joy that brought to all of us, right? Even that, when I say it to you, it does make me extremely emotional with just the belief that we have and the power that Steve has within him, right? And the power that my mum had for that even to happen and everything else. And it was just a beautiful thing. So on the back of that, Lenny, it just led us, because pre this, I've had a lot of big DJs who worked for us before and a lot of friends, but the music people saying, what can we do for Steve? What can we do? What can we do? Da, da, da. Want to help out? And there's nothing you can do. Just pray and keep positive for Steve. And then, Norman, Trevor, everyone's saying, oh, let's do a party. And I thought, no, because we're pretty proud people. So it's okay. Don't want to do a party. Don't want to do a fundraiser. But when that happened, with Steve turning his head to mum, it's like, okay.
So let's take that as divine intervention then.
Yeah, 100%. So we just thought.
Did you mention it to the staff at the place?
Oh yeah, of course.
What was their scientific answer? I'm going to hear that one.
See, the thing about it is, and look, I'm not here to bash anyone.
Oh no,
I haven't got time for that. Even to bash things about meds. All I'm doing is talking and giving facts. Guess what my friend said. These are experiences.
But you always want to hear, because if you have faith, it's a good look. It makes you, it reinvigorates what we all believe in. That power of prayer and positivity can do. What they say, it was a nerve movement or something to slack it off, like it's something.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what they say, but we did tell them. And the thing about it is, as far as they're concerned and how they've been trained, and I'm not hating on them, it's just how the system is, right? He's not ticking all the boxes. It's not every hour when we do it. It's not every minute. So it's not classified as a response. It's not
Got
like, oh, Steve, turn your head and move there. But you've got to start from somewhere, right? And that's all you'd want someone to say. Do you know what? It's got to start from somewhere. Let's just keep building and doing that. But some of them don't know what to do because they're not trained for situations like this, and and to delve in and holistic stuff and that. And again, I'm not hating. I'm just, this is a journey. What we're navigating through and how we're navigating through is we're holding the steering wheel, and we're being guided, and we're not going to go in their direction. We know what we believe. You
Here's
know.
something that I wanted to ask you: as does anybody else in the UK have this particular brain injury like your brother has?
No.
He's the only one?
Okay, so like I said, the brain injury is we could have a brain injury. Encephalitis is a brain injury. He's got acute hemorrhagic leukoencephalitis. So about a year and a half ago, maybe we joined the Encephalitis Society because we wanted to find out more about what's going on. Right, I need to know what's going on with Stephen. And they're really good. They're based in the UK. Right, it's the biggest Encephalitis Society. They're based in Yorkshire, up north, and I spoke to John Ainsley there, he's one of the main guys, and I told him about the diagnosis. And I said to him, because we heard that word rare so many times along the journey from consultants, I said, John, please don't mention that word rare. He goes, I have to. It's so rare what your brother has. But on their website, they have a thing called Connect, right? So you can, like I said, there's different forms of encephalitis. So you can connect with different people. I think 40 plus thousand on their database they've got. People with encephalitis, right? That's just on their database. There's more around the world. That's just who's registered with them. So you can link up with people. So long as they agree to link up with you, you can have Zoom calls, wherever they are, and whatever. So it took them about 3 months to find someone. And they did find someone who was in Mumbai, in India.
Oh, wow.
This lady's son caught it, not from COVID. I think he was 9 years old or something. I think he's about 14 now. And he caught it from a flu. He caught it from getting a flu. And he was in a worse starting place than Steve. His eyes were fixed, where Steve's eyes are just normal, but he's that's the only one. Like again, I'll go back. I think Julie done some investigation and she found someone in Japan or somewhere, but we couldn't get in contact with that person. That was from COVID. But there's so many people that just don't make it out of the hospital. So that alone in itself is like, come on, man. It's like, Steve's not here to play, Yeah, this has happened and it's not great. But we know inside that what happened with my mum was the starting point. Like I was going to go back and say, with the DJs and people saying, do a party, do a fundraiser. And it was just like, no, we've promoted loads of parties before, don't want to do a fundraiser and this and that. Just a bit proud. I don't know why, but that went. When Steve moved his head to my mum, all that thought went. I thought, okay, everyone wants to do something. We've got a win-win situation here. Let's do a party. We need to get we need to get Steve home so he's surrounded by love, because what we just experienced there with mum, he needs to be around love, right? And again, what happened to me in the ICU room when I was saying about this love, it's so important, right? It's so important. It's everything. Love is everything. It's not just a kiss and a cuddle. The deep love is everything, right? It's powerful. So we said, let's get Steve and Julie's house renovated. So do that, raise some money, and that's where Dance for Stevie event, which happened October the 3rd, 2021, last year. Yeah, yeah, Dance for Stevie was born to raise funds, and yeah, David Morales, Mark Knight, everyone, so many people, Dave Lee, everyone got together, and we raised so much money on that night. And the Garage City reunion we done the other day, October the 1st, nearly a year to the date. That was part of it as well. The other thing that happened, I don't even know why I'm laughing or smiling. So the first, you know what, Lenny? Since this COVID, since this spiritual thing that happened to me, in the White Room, I've encountered so many other things, beautiful things, have come my way. There must be 5 to 10 people that I don't even know spiritual healers I might have even met at the airport coming up to me and saying, "Is everything okay?" I said, "Why?" Because I can feel some energy from you that is just da, 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 da. And I thought, but I did speak to a few spiritual healers privately, and they did said my energy source has been raised, so I'm attracting people of that same level, right? So October the 3rd, 2021, our mother was suffering from COPD, which is a lung disorder. It's just lack of breathing sometimes. So our mum had to go to hospital maybe 3 times a year, just for a week, just to get some oxygen boost, and that's it. She'd just come home after that. So in that time, she would get a bit delusional because of lack of oxygen to her head. So every time she went in hospital, that would happen. So October the 3rd was a Sunday. Sunday before that, whatever day it was, mum was admitted to hospital. And on the Wednesday before the Sunday, October the 3rd, she called, because again it's COVID, only one visitor. She called me and said, really close to mum, right? She said, "Bob, you need to come in and see me. I'm not going to be here on Sunday." So what are you talking about? I had a dream that I died and the boat took me to heaven. So I thought, oh, that's a lovely dream, mum. Because my mum, she'd pray every day and got all her books and everything else. But again, I'm thinking it's delusional with the lack of oxygen, because she would sometimes say, when she was in hospital, pre this situation, she would say, when I go and see her, because, "Oh, hey, mum, you're right." In the hospital, this is, right? This is before this passing. Yeah, we went out last night to a party. I did, yeah, they took us to this party down the road. And I thought, oh, so I thought this was just one of them conversations. This was on the Wednesday. On the Thursday, my brother went to see her. He FaceTimed me. We've got this 8 siblings, 5 boys. My brother John, he said, "Oh, Bob, mum wants to tell you something again." Raising eyebrows like she's had the dream again. She said, "I'm not going to be here on Sunday. I've had the dream again." Thursday, Friday, 2 other siblings went to see her, same story. Saturday, before October the 3rd,
Right.
so the 2nd, now I'm with Steve. I'm visiting Steve. And then the hospitals called me and said, "Bob, your mum wants to see all of the siblings." I said, "Yeah, but I thought it's only one visit, it's COVID. Because your mum's asked for that to happen, we have to honour it." So all of us had to go down there, right?
So
She
she
wanted
was,
all of us to be there, here we are, to tell us that she's not going to be here. She's going. And my mum knew that we had the party for Steve on the Sunday. And on the Monday after that, I booked myself and my wife to go to Ibiza, right? To go and get away for a while and just chill out. So I thought, when all the siblings left, I thought, you know what? Let me stay and speak to the doctor. Stayed next to 3 hours for the doctor to do his rounds and wait for the doctor. I said, "Doctor," and he brought. I said, "Look, what's happening? Mum's saying she's not going to be." No. I wanted some peace because I weren't going to see mum again. Sunday was the party. Monday morning, I'm off to Ibiza. And he said, no, he got the portable X-ray reader machine. He brought it out. Goes, "Your mum's lungs are all fine. She'll be out on Wednesday." Okay, great. "Mum, did you hear that?" Mum said, because he brought it to her bed, right? Mum's gone, "I'm not going to be here Sunday. I'm going." So that was that. Sunday morning now, getting up to get ready for the daytime party, dance for Stevie. Starts at 2 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning. I'm getting ready, get a phone call from the hospital. "You guys need to come in." I said, I said, "Mum knows it's the party." I said, "No, the doctors are telling you to come in. Mum's semi-unconscious." So we've marched down there and they found a massive, big size of a football bleed on the side of Mum's stomach. And they said, and she was semi-conscious, right? Opening her eyes and falling in and out. And they said, "We don't know what happened, but we can't move your mum to theatre because it's so severe. She won't make it to theatre. And she's not going to be here. It's going to be today or tomorrow." And do you know, you have this feeling, because we lost Dad the year before, and you have this feeling, we're so close to our mum, and we're all there, and we're thinking, I had these visions before because I've got 2 older sisters, right? You can be very, very, very emotional at anything. And I just had this vision of, what is going to happen now? We're all in this room waiting for the doctor, and I know what the news is. I just knew what the news was. And when the doctor delivered that news, it was so calm in that room. I thought, what's going on here? I was expecting that, and it was, of course, there were some tears, but not to the level. So now we're all surrounded around mum. We've gone to mum's bed. Called my wife. Everyone's called their wives, and the grandchildren will come. 30 odd people around mum's bed. Mum's in and out of consciousness, and all I thought was, look at this. That's why we have to believe, because the doctors can show you. I'm not hating on anyone. I'm just giving you facts, because these are facts that's happened, right? And this spiritual thing, and this belief and life in itself, it's beautiful and it is great. Embrace it, right?
Sure.
The doctors, no, mum's going to be out next week. They're going by what they see on the screen. We can look at screens all day long, right? There's a greater power and a bigger power. My mum called it. She knew she was going, and she went on the Sunday. She went on that day. Do you know what I mean? And all these are just great beliefs and just beautiful things. Going back to it, what happened to me in the white room? I knew that happened to me in the spiritual room, in the realm with me. And I know on reflection, I looked and I thought, look at that. This was before Stephen went to hospital. That was to prepare me for what was to come. I know that. Because if I didn't have that spiritual connection in that room, with this and that, and then analysing and having that feeling of love, and there is a greater love, right? It's not a cliche, people. It's bloody real. What experience was so beautiful and so powerful, honestly. It's made me sit here and put a smile on my face and talk about my mum and talk about my brother. I get emotional sometimes as well, of course, but
Sure.
it's all good. So with Steve is in a great position. He's in a great space at the moment. Yeah, Steve can't communicate right now, but he will. All right, Steve will, and there is a great thing. I'm excited for the future, right? I'm excited for the future, and if this isn't a show, this is just how it is. It's just, I feel Steve's vibration when I'm with him, sometimes. And what's happening now, which wasn't happening before, when we go to visit Steve, me and his wife Julie, we video if we're walking in. If he's sleeping in his chair, we don't touch him physically to disturb any senses or to alarm him. We just say, oh, Steve, it's Bobby. It's Bobby, Steve, I'm here. Da, 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 da. And then slowly, after that minute, he opens his eyes. And then if he's not making a noise, he'll go, he starts groaning. He was not doing that before. You weren't getting nothing before like that. Nothing at all. So for us, it's big. It's a big improvement, because when you see this after 2.5 years, right, and you see these little things, then we've got so much hope. We've got all the hope in the world and all the positivity and all love for Stevie, right? That he's gonna something. There's a story waiting to be told, and yeah, and that's, and I don't want to come across like it's okay. Don't worry about Stevie. No, we need to all keep on praying and giving that love for Steve. And I want to say thanks to everyone out there, from the musical world and not the musical world, right, who have sent love, right, blessings, prayers, who've donated to have this. The house plans have been granted. Hopefully next year, February, March, April, we're going to start building on the house. So just in the summertime, it'll be finished, and Steve can start coming home weekends. Not going to come home full time first, but it's just, yeah. I don't want to. I hope I'm not coming across like that. Just saying, oh, it's all right, Steve, going to be some that. No. It's the inner belief that I just have to say. I'm not going to keep quiet about it, because that's the belief that we have, especially me, and that's just how it is.
Bobby, you being an uncle, a father yourself, how are you as a leader to the kids, Stevie's kids and all the children right now? Are you keeping everybody,
Yeah, well, Len,
together?
the thing about it is,
Because it's never easy.
there's 8 children, and I'm the middle one of the thing, and I've always, from a young age, I've always been the one. Come on, no, just do that. And I've always been like that middle. Steve's 5 minutes younger than me, but for me, he's my little brother. He's my identical twin brother. Do you understand? And what does burn me, obviously, a lot in this, because I'll do anything to look after all of my family, and they all know that, right? And I've always been that person. It's not being able to, we're gonna do this and that. But then I think, no, but as I sit here and I think about it, it's okay, because I am doing something about it, and I am fixing Steve together we are all fixing Steve, because we could be a lot different, right? I'm in a good place. The first 3 4 months, when I came out, because obviously I was healing myself, and then on top of healing, dealing with what was going on with Steve at the beginning. So I wasn't in a good place in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? Navigating life without Steve. I don't know life without Steve. I don't know life without Steve. We're twins. We've been together all our life. We don't even live together for the last 20 odd years or whatever. But guess what? We've always been the same fucking weight. How does that work out? You know what I mean? We are exactly the same in all aspects of everything. So it was really, really difficult for me. It was in the beginning. It's like, wow, 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 wow. I had to take
It's, you know
therapy.
what, Bobby? Everybody sees you laughing and
Yeah,
happy. They don't really know. That's why I asked that question. Having that stiff upper lip, and it's an English way. Everything's
yeah,
got to always be pomps and circumstance. Everything's got to be perfect.
yeah.
But let's be
No,
real. This is family
that
now. This is not.
that what people don't know. Me and Steve, we've got hearts, right? And I'm a very emotional guy. I can be as hard as they come, right? But I've realised that's easy. Anyone can be as hard as they come. Anyone can swear. Anyone can do some that. It's love. It's forgiveness. It's all that side of it. And emotions. I cry. I've been crying not just from COVID. I cry at films, man. I'm a very emotional guy. Do you know what I mean? I'm very emotional. But someone said to me, "That's because you've got a heart." And I thought, well, there you go. I'll take that. Do you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Sure.
Like I said, Lenny, it has been. The beginning was very, 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 very difficult for me, right? Um, it was, and like I said, we lost our dad in 2019, and it was on the back of that. And I got sick. I thought, oh, Dad, and then Steve,
And then,
and just to navigate. I had to have therapy. I paid for private therapy, and it was the best thing I could have done. The best thing I could have done, because I said, right, but okay, I was going to give up music when I had the love situation in my ICU room, right? When I said, oh my God, love, 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 I was thinking, right, no more music. It's been good, but I'm hearing another calling, right? I'm hearing another calling. And then this happened to Steve, and I thought, giving up music, not doing it no more. And then when I took therapy, um, my therapist was doing Zoom calls, and then it was the second from last one. I had about 10 of them. She said, Bobby, please don't give up the music. I said, so I'm going to give up. I said, why is that? She goes, because every time you speak about music and you speak about Steve, you glow, you smile. And I didn't even see that. She goes, you smile every time when you talk about him. She
yeah,
said, don't, and a few people have said to me this before. She said, don't, it's your DNA. Don't kill your DNA. This is part of the universe of what you. And I thought about it, and and it's the best thing I could have done, because now I feel Steve's energy when he's not with me, when I'm DJing out, or when I'm doing anything to do with music. And doing the dance for Stevie, like I said, we've been promoting since 1984, all right? 38 years this year. The buzz we got from promoting, me and Steve together, and all the excitement and all our team that we had and partners was amazing. Doing well, making money, all them things. What's happening now with the events, what I'm putting on? Remember, I wasn't really the promoter. Stevie was, and our partners that we've had, Michael Bulgid, Michael Hughes, Chrissy T, all our team. I'd do little bits, but I'm the hands-on man. It's like, usually you got this, you not got this. Me doing this now, and I'm telling you, I like to do this a lot single-handedly because I get such a buzz out of it. The purpose I have now is so rewarding, right, for doing that. And even on that I want to say that even when I'm starting the Bobby and Steve Foundation. It's called the Bobby and Steve Foundation. Just wait, we've got the registration. Just waiting for it all to go through now. Because I thought we just want to give back, and I thought, although we haven't been giving all our lives to people, I want to just give. I've got such a purpose, which is just lifting me. It's called the Bobby and Steve Foundation. It's going to be obviously funds for Steve, but also to help other people with neurological needs. And that's the purpose of what I've got now, which is lifting me and keeping me on track to deal with my wife, my family, my kids and everyone else. And it's not. I'm not trying to be strong. I'm not being. I'm not one of these guys. Like, you're all right. Yeah, I'm all right. But I'm not really all right. I'm not. I won't do that. I'm real. I keep it real. If I'm not good, I'm not good. But where the place I'm at now is my I don't have down days. I have down moments. Do you know what I mean? And then I carry on. You know, I have my moments. You never know when it's going to come. You know what I mean? It's like, but when it comes, it comes. I just yeah, when it comes, I thought I'd get emotional a lot throughout this thing, but and then I done it, like I said, a Johnny Encephalitis Society, and they invited me to talk at their conference last week in Birmingham, and it's fine. I've got this and I'm talking, and it was only a 10-minute talk. I got choked up about 2 or 3 times in that for things that would never choke me up before. So you just never know. Do you know what I mean? But it's fine, and I welcome it because I'm just human, man, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. But it's. I want to just say I'm in a really good place, and yeah, and I have to share that with everyone. I'm in a really good place,
You hear that,
very
everybody?
positive about everything.
It's in a good, strong, peaceful faith within faith place.
Hmm.
He has a lot of faith inside of him yet.
Yeah,
You did it. I mean, Bob, you got to keep that torch up high and keep that light, that fire burning, bro.
yeah, no, definitely 1,000,000%. 1,000,000%. I don't know any other way to do it now.
What is to you,
Honestly.
Bobby? If you stop, it'll never. You can't stop. You have to do this.
Mm,
It's your calling, brother.
yeah.
As a brother, you owe him that. You do what you do, and don't stop, and don't let nothing discourage you.
No, 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 no. Honestly, I'm my thinking process, my positive thinking process is not. It's not a false situation. If even like next year we're 60, and even now I'm thinking, okay, I've
Now,
got to take Steve to Ibiza next year because Ibiza is our spiritual home. It really is. We've been going there since 1991, right? Um, and it's just it's our place. Do you know what I mean? And me and my wife, we're blessed. We bought somewhere out there. We bought a place out there 4 or 5 years ago. So that in itself has become a sanctuary for us. Do you know what I mean? To go and just right by the sea and just get that energy. So I'm planning already for Steve to come out next year, right? For Steve to get on the plane. I'm looking at a private jet. Steve to get on the plane because I just know what he wants and what he needs. And I'm gonna make our 60th something. It's like we just, Steve will be in. He might not be in a wheelchair, even if he is. I'm planning for him to be in there. If he is in there, he's coming. We're doing something. We're going to be doing something. He's not going to
he's
the conference
coming.
just to, manifesting, believing, everything else. That's where it's at, man.
And I believe you will make that manifest come to reality.
Hmm.
I know you will. You have very strong will. You've proven it through everything you've done in your careers, both of you. You've taken things from ethos, and like you said, we went and got offices. We didn't know anything what we were doing, but we just went and opened up an office, and then we made records. Hey, you know, it
Yeah.
is what it is. You don't see, you don't hear the word no. You just hear yes, and that takes.
Yeah, and we stay within our lanes, if you know what I mean. We don't do anything as we believe is too far reach. Everything we never thought, oh, we can't do that. It's too much or whatever, too big. But we've never done anything. Well, from the outside in, it might be people might say, oh, that's a bit of a big deal to do. But for us, it's just everything. Just all our moves just seem like the right natural moves, guided natural moves to do.
So stay with it and stay with your gut intuition. It seems to be working. It's worked up to now,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It's definitely worked up to now,
Bob.
and it's gonna keep on. It's gonna keep on working because I believe, and Steve believes, and my family believe. We're built on a foundation of love. Love
Is
is all you need, man.
let everybody know. Is there a charity that they can give?
Yeah, so the Bobby and Steve Foundation is getting launched soon. It might be another 4 weeks, but we have got a GoFundMe link for Steve, which is Steve's COVID brain injury story on GoFundMe. If you check out our Instagram, you can see details on there as well, or on our Facebook. Our Instagram is Bobby and Steve. I meant to send you out social links, but I didn't. But it's Bobby and Steve, Bobby AND
Yeah,
Steve
he said
UK.
he was very on time. That was Stevie's job. Stevie got me everything, but that's all right.
Exactly.
Listen, I didn't even stress over. I said, don't worry, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
Just if you guys, if you can't remember, just Google it. Bobby and Steve's GoFundMe. It'll come up. You'll see. Real simple. And if you have something to give, is more than what they had yesterday. I always say every
Exactly,
little bit helps.
exactly, exactly. And we
Every
are,
little
yeah,
bit helps.
and we are
And if you
grateful.
don't have,
Truly, truly.
and if you don't have to give, when you go to church or wherever you go,
Pray, man.
put that prayer aside for Stevie and say, Stevie will come back.
Yeah.
We'll get him back.
Exactly, exactly. And it's not about finance all the time. You know, if people ain't got, people ain't got. Like you say, but it is just about coming together in mass and just putting some good positive energy out there for Steve. Do you know what I mean? And for all of us, we all need it, man. We all need it.
And we need you, Bobby. You still got a lot of life in you. I don't care what.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere. I'm really enjoying what we're doing. Like I said, because of the purpose behind everything else, and even I'm taking some bookings now as well.
Yeah, I know. I see.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
I was joyous to be with Bobby at Spen's party. We hugged. We hadn't seen each other since
yeah,
pre-COVID, and it was just like a family reunion for me. And
yeah,
like seeing all the fellas, you, Booker T, Neil Pierce,
yeah.
everybody was
Ricky Morrison. That's right. Yeah, we was all there.
Ricky. It was great. It was just like that feeling. Like it's crazy in our world, guys. You could take 35 years in 1 second, that time space doesn't exist. It's
Mm.
like we were just where we were yesterday. Like, if you know what I mean, Bobby, understand that? Like, it doesn't, that time,
Yeah,
maybe you don't see
yeah,
each other for a while, but all of a sudden you see each other, it's like time hasn't gone by. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Because our connection is for music, right? And music, like I said, our music. I don't know about anyone's music. I can only talk about our music. Our soulful music it is a powerful thing. You
Our
know, I'm
music.
talking about our music. It's a powerful thing. So we all connect with that. And you know, we ain't got time for this hate thingy, Bob. You never hear stories about Bob Steve hating situation. Yeah, we can hate, but we come on.
There ain't
You
no
know,
time for that.
it's all
I'm
love
not
now.
hating on nobody. I love everybody now. I love everyone. You know that.
Amen. Yeah,
Amen to that. Bobby, can't thank you enough spending. And here's what's funny, everybody. We're at the 2 second hour. He asked me how long would this go for?
how long we been on now?
2 hours.
Okay.
And it couldn't be enough time to give you everything you needed, and you got it all out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bobby. Watch Bobby with Bobby and Steve, of course, their productions. They're doing their special anniversary at Ministry of Sound on the 26th of November.
Yeah.
Leroy Burgess. I know Mr. Louis Vega
Yeah.
coming to rocket.
Yeah. We've got it all. Neil Pearce. We've got
Neil Pierce.
at Jazz. Yeah, we've got a whole lot. Groove Assassin. It's going to be a great thing. Yeah, it's going to be a great 30th anniversary party. We're going to be celebrating big time. And also, don't forget, Guy Ibiza has launched. Now we're back next year in Ibiza at the Palm Star Hotel. It's a new home, and we're going to be rocking
I'm
it
looking
out there as
forward to
well.
that.
From the 18th to the 21st of May. All the information on everything we do, go to grooveodyssey.com or check out our
There you
personal
go.
Instagram page.
He's a promoter now.
I'm a
Nobody's
promoter.
He's a raw talent. Now he's a salesman. He's taking on Stevie's job. He's going to bring
Yeah,
us
man.
home. Bobby, thank you, baby. We love you.
Thank you, Lenny. Thank you. Thank you again. All right.
Family.
Thank you for letting us share your platform.
Oh, yes.
Important. Thank you.
And also, I want to give a special shout out to someone that gets forgotten through all this. Julie, Steve's wife.
Yeah.
My wife's a cancer survivor, ovarian. And what happens when the loved ones are in the seat of what's going on, the spouses sometimes get forgotten. So I want to say a special, strong shout out. Keep the faith. We're all pushing for you, Julie. And of course, Bobby, you too. You know how we all feel about you, brother.
Yeah,
And
all
on that
good, man.
note, Bobby, don't leave us. I like to say good night to everyone. Thank you for tuning in to True House Stories. We shall see you next week. We have Tom Silverman from Tommy Boy Records coming on to share his story. And right here, we'll catch you all very soon. Have a good one. Thank you all.